Welcome to Pedo Teeth Talk, brought to you by the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry, a show that delivers cutting-edge ideas for the professional specializing in pediatric dentistry and promotes the highest standards of patient care with today's top experts in the field. Now here's your host, Dr. Joel Berg.
Thank you for tuning in to Pedo Teeth Talk, where we bring you the contemporary issues important to you and your practice. Brought to you by the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry. Thank you to our Pedo Teeth Talk sponsor, Hugh Freedy Group, for helping us bring you great content. We couldn't do this without them. Visit them at www.hughfreedy.com/AAPD crowns. That's HUFREDY.group.com/AAPD crowns. We are here today with Dr. Linda Edgar, a general dentist in Federal Way, Washington. She is the president-elect of the American Dental Association. Dr. Edgar has been a member of the ADA since 1992 and was a member of the House of Delegates from 2005 until 2018. She most recently served as the 11th District Trustee of the ADA and is a former member of the ADA Council on Dental Practice. Dr. Edgar is involved with numerous other dental organizations, including the Washington State Dental Association, the Pierre Fauchard Academy, the American College of Dentists, the International College of Dentists, the Academy of Dentistry International, the Washington Academy of General Dentistry, and the Academy of General Dentistry, of which she was president in 2013 to 2014. She served as president of the Seattle-King County Dental Society from 2010 to 2011. Dr. Edgar served in private practice for 30 years and was involved with the University of Washington School of Dentistry as chair of their $22 million dental school campaign in support of major fundraising for over 10 years. Dr. Edgar earned her dental degree from the University of Washington. Prior to becoming a dentist, Dr. Edgar was a teacher for 15 years and earned a master's in education degree from the University of Washington. She was a national class marathon runner, competing in over 45 marathons and participating in the first women's Olympic marathon trials. She has also completed 2 full Ironman races. She has practiced general dentistry with her husband, Dr. Brian Edgar, for 30 years and is currently involved with volunteer organizations which couple continuing education with increasing access for veterans and the underserved. Dr. Edgar, thanks for being with us on Pedo Teeth Talk.
Well, thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here.
Well, Dr. Edgar, you and I have been chatting about in anticipation of this podcast, and I've known you for some time, and every time I read your bio, it's pretty amazing all the things you've accomplished in dentistry, certainly, and beyond, and marathon runner, triathlete, incredible. And we're going to try to tie all those things together today in our podcast. So starting with maybe talk about the marathon running. Did you start that before you thought about dentistry? What's the timeline on the interest in running and the interest in dental school? And then we're going to talk further.
Well, it's kind of a unique story. My husband and I were married young, and we got pregnant and lost 2 babies, and we got a chance to adopt a son. And I felt a little broken after I had lost the baby, so I decided to start a running program. And when I do stuff, I tend to overdo. So I realized I was pretty good, and I was starting to make money running. I was a teacher at the time and a running coach. So that's kind of how the running got started. And in the running, I realized I'm not a natural athlete, but I work really hard. And what I realized is if you just remove the words impossible and can't from your vocabulary, you can accomplish just about anything. And my husband was really the one that I had done a couple of Ironman, crashed in one, and he went and got an application to the University of Washington and said, I think you should go to dental school. It would be safer than doing another Ironman. So that's how I got kind of into,
wow.
into that.
Yeah, so when you talked about hard work, I think I often talk to people about athletes. You mentioned you're an athlete yourself, but you said you're not you described yourself as not a natural athlete or something, but I would say it's true that for any successful athlete, it's not the natural talent that gets them there, it's the hard work.
Yes.
So I would say, from my perspective, your hard work got you the athletic prowess that you had, and then going into dentistry, does that continue, the hard work? How did that go?
Well, I think, to be successful in anything in life, you need a couple things. You need to be competent.
Yes.
You need to be likable, but you also need to be consistent. And if you have ever seen Denzel Washington's Facebook speech he gave to graduates, he said consistency is one of the most important things. Working hard every day, getting up each time you fall, because you're going to fall in life, is one of the keys to,
It's kind of like brushing teeth. You got to take the plaque off every day, right? Because it keeps growing back.
Exactly.
That consistency is important.
Yes.
Okay, so you went to dental school, and how was that? How did that go for you?
Well, it was tough. I was 37 when I got into dental school. I was commuting from home, which was at least an hour, sometimes two, if the traffic.
You lived
was
in
bad.
Federal Way at the time?
I lived in Federal Way, which was about close to 40 miles from.
So I'm sorry, so the whole time in dental school, you commuted the entire 4 years?
Federal Way.
Wow.
Yes.
That's hard work, too.
It's hard work. I did not get asked to go to the Friday night beer parties, because I was home with my 10 or 11-year-old.
Wow.
So I felt, like kind of an outsider. I had no idea there was a test file.
Oh.
Until
so you really had to work
test.
hard.
And I sat between a guy in lab. I sat between a guy who had done jewelry and a guy who had worked for his dad in his
So
lab.
you knew how to wax. And
So when we did the wax up, mine looked like a piece of bubble gum compared to their beautiful pieces of artwork.
Well, you were offered every opportunity of challenge
Yes.
to work hard.
Yes.
Right?
So
And you took advantage of it.
yeah, after the first quarter, I was ready to quit.
Really?
I mean, basically, my husband, who by then had been in practice for 17 years, said to me, I wrote him a letter. I said, I don't know that I'm cut out to do this, because I feel, like it's just beyond me. And he said, there will be many patients that will miss out if you do not finish. And then the Dean Omnell at the time also said, you have something special. I want you to keep at it. So it was really those support systems that helped me stay in dental school.
What a great message, actually, that
Yeah.
missing out on, and it probably resonates today pretty strongly, because you're seeing those who would have missed out. So that's fantastic. I've known you for many years. I didn't know so many of these stories. I want to talk for a moment about you're a teacher. You were a teacher, and you have a master's in education,
Yes.
which is a rare thing in academics, I can tell you. That we hire all around the world faculty who are great dentists and great clinicians, but often they haven't had formal training in how to educate. And there's a science of education. So give me your take on how that applies to dental education. You already had the master's before you went to dental school.
Yes.
So you probably thought about the syllabi and how they're working, and do they know how to make course objectives? I'm just curious what you think about that.
Well, when I was interviewed by Dr. Tom Morton, he was actually starting a marathon program, so we mostly talked about running marathons during my interview. But he asked me, he said, what would you do if you feel like a teacher in dental school is doing the wrong thing or teaching the wrong way? And I said, well, I'll keep my mouth shut, which was what I did. But
is this why you're going to be ADA president?
Yeah, but I did feel like there were certain techniques, the fire hose technique that we get the first couple of years, where they fire hose pharmacology and all of that, things that maybe you could tweak a little bit, really looking at what makes a dentist successful, maybe a little more leadership, a little more practice management, I believe would be really helpful.
I would love to see in this stage of your career how you could be connected with dental education, because you have a lot to offer from the hard work standpoint for the students, from the educational technology standpoint, from the teachers. So another time, let's talk about that.
Maybe I think another time.
That would be really interesting.
Have to get through this one first.
That's right. That's right. We will now pause for a word from our sponsor. Ufridi Group provides world-class products, services, and education, resulting in superior clinician outcomes. For more information, please visit www.ufridigroup.com/AAPD crowns. We are back with Dr. Linda Edgar, President-elect of the American Dental Association, and we were talking about her career as she had a career in teaching and education prior to going to dental school. She's also a marathon runner, a triathlete, and the theme of hard work, which I embrace. Nobody's successful without that hard work. I think you're a case example of how hard work got you to where you are, which is true for everybody. And now you're President-elect of the American Dental Association, which is a big accomplishment. So we'll start out, we're going to talk about what you see ahead in your year ahead, and I want to talk about this book that you've written. But before we do that, so what do you do as President-elect? Tell us what you do. What is your life like?
Well, so far this year, I've flown 82,000 miles in half a year.
And your son's a pilot, right?
My son is a pilot.
Were you ever on any of his flights during those 82?
Not yet.
Not yet, but it could happen.
Yeah,
okay.
It could happen.
Yeah.
We go to many of the states that ask us to come to their House of Delegates, try to help with leadership. We've been going to many of the DSO conferences this year, learning about how that works. All of the specialty groups invite us usually to their conferences. I have 3 words that I'd like to emphasize in my year, and we're emphasizing them this year with the new executive director, and that's connect, collaborate, and communicate. And the collaboration part of it is very important. You know, we have a huge professional organization that will benefit if everybody's moving in the same direction.
That's wonderful. So connect, collaborate, communicate. So can you talk just briefly about each of those 3? What is the connect part?
Well, I really believe that wellness right now has risen to the top. We've had a lot of suicides and many, different age groups in dentistry, students, veteran dentists. And I have a feeling that if we will reach out personally and connect with non-members, invite them in, not necessarily to be a member, but to tell them we have their back if they need us.
Yeah.
We're developing mentor programs all across the country. I feel like that's really important right now, especially with the students.
That's so wonderful, and I think, we saw that, of course, during the pandemic. It accelerated some of this, and I think, and I want to see your take on this, that I saw, and I did some podcasts on this self-care thing, and, dentists are the leaders of the practice. They have to be stoic. They have to be tough. But they're human, they have feelings, and if they're suffering, they struggle with kind of communicating that.
Right.
So I think what you're saying is to say, we're here for you. It's okay to be human.
It's okay basically. Not to be okay.
Exactly. Yeah, and I think that's such an important message. I'm glad to hear that's the connect, collaborate. What does that relate to?
Collaboration is we would like to bring all of the dental groups together. We have a lobby day every year. We had about 700 members at that. We are inviting all members from all organizations to come and join us. We'd like to see 5,000 in 5 years be at lobby day. And can you imagine the effect we would have?
Oh, man.
We'll have sashes to identify everyone.
They used to have that at the Washington State Dental Association, I remember, yes. So that's the same kind of thing. That's wonderful. Well, let me know when that happens. I'd like to be there.
Yeah.
I've been a member my whole career.
Next year, we're pushing it forward. So
That's fantastic. That's a great idea. And then communicate.
Yes. So one of the things we don't do very well is communicate what we do for the member. The ADA does a lot of things behind the scenes that members don't even realize we're doing. One of the big examples was what we did during COVID. We established all of the protocols. We helped get money from the loans and helped get equipment. None of that.
You were connected with the PPP money. I remember your vice president for government affairs was heavily involved in this.
Right.
Yeah.
Getting all of that, and we've developed a sheet that describes what ADA does for you lately, and non-members will say, well, what about insurance? What are you helping us with insurance? And we've spent quite a bit of money fighting the insurance issues. We've passed a medical loss ratio. Spent a lot of money on that. That will help patients get more for their money.
So you're very connected yourself with this new generation of dentists. You know, there are personality differences throughout the industries.
Yes.
Between generations. I'm a baby boomer, you are too, and we think differently about things. So, you know, how does that conversation about the recognition of generational differences come into play in trying to recruit younger members, the ADA, which I think we're all concerned about. We want to make that happen. We want to grow the awareness, this connect, collaborate, and communicate.
Yeah, the younger members, one of the positives about this younger generation is I really feel like they are excited about doing something good for the public as a group. They don't necessarily need the individual recognition that we see some of the older generation needing. They do want work-life balance. They don't want to work 12 hours, 15 hours a day like you and I did when we were first developing our practices. So we have to be cognizant of that when we're developing programs. I think there's going to be a lot more collaboration of practices. So and of course there's over 50% of the graduates now are women. And I think you're going to see a lot of group practices develop versus the single practices that are out there now. So the evolution of the way dentistry is going to be practiced is going to evolve as we change. But there's a lot of positives with the new generation, how they feel. The work-life balance, I think, is very positive.
It speaks to your wellness point earlier. I think that's easy way to connect.
Yes.
Because they're on board with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we're hoping that we can continue to be there. We're going to be starting a program where people can get counseling if they need it.
I love that.
ASDA has been very involved with wellness. You know, they lost one of their presidents 10 years ago.
Yes, I'm aware of that.
So,
yes. Yeah, this is really good stuff. I'm looking at the document that you and I were talking about called What Has ADA Done for Members Lately? And it's got the me, what it's done for me. I like that. I think it's a really good document, by the way. And one of the items on here, you referred to earlier, is having your back along the career journey. I think that's a great tagline, actually.
Yeah.
And, and I know you have a personal affinity for that. So so thinking about having your back, communication is key. And so how do you feel the ADA has evolved and can evolve to communicate with the younger generation of members in a way in which they like to communicate?
Well, I think obviously getting the word out, on social media, Twitter and Facebook and everything, they really do communicate better in that respect. And so we have to bring our information to the platforms that they're the most comfortable with. But I don't think we need to forget about the one-on-one conversation. And when you get to know the younger dentists, they do appreciate both. When we ask the new dentist committee what they care about the most, the first thing that came out of their mouths was personal touch.
Yeah.
And then mentor programs and reasonably priced CE.
Yeah.
And we have to start producing not the garbage CE, but the hands-on, the CE that the students are going to really profit by and become better dentists. We still strive to be the best dentists we can be.
Well, I don't know how much you intend to travel when you're president. I already know it's a lot, but I would have to say that getting you in front of this generation of dentists is probably one of the most powerful things, because the story you have about yourself that you can relate to. Obviously, you're concerned about, you were a runner. Through dental school, well, you ran before you got in dental school. You have the record 50K, was it?
Yeah.
Time, which is, those are connecting stories. Like, you were them. You were them, and I think having you in front of them is going to be really powerful. So I'm grateful that you're in this role you are today. I'm now shifting in the last part of our talk to the public and how they benefit from the American Dental Association, which obviously makes the members benefit as well. And a couple of the items I want to chat with you about. One of them is empowering dentists to practice anywhere, licensure portability. What can you say about that?
Well, one of the pieces of legislation we're trying to get through is called the Compact. where states will sign on to allow dentists from other states
saw that.
to
Yeah,
come in and
interesting.
practice. The dental students are really all for this because, people will get married and maybe their spouse gets
Yep.
transferred to another state. So right now, Washington State was actually one of the first ones to pass it this year. Two others have passed, and I think 7 others are putting the legislation forward next year.
That's a wonderful
also
thing.
for hygienists.
I think that's
same thing.
fantastic.
Yeah.
I hope my state, Arizona, does it.
Yeah.
I don't know if they have, but I hope they do. I just heard about this a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
I think it's. I like to get on board and learn more about that. I think that's one of the great. I'm glad to see the ADA is championing this thing. So in our last moments here, as you're going into your presidential year late in this fall, what are you looking forward to the most to doing as your president of ADA?
Well, we talk a lot about things at the ADA level and at, council level. I would like to move a lot of what we're talking about to actions that are going to benefit the public. I have a couple of initiatives. Stay tuned. They haven't been passed by the board yet.
Okay, can't wait to hear.
I'd like to see, which will help actually pedos.
Okay.
One's called Lessons in a Lunchbox.
Oh, I know that.
You know that?
Yeah, from Maryland.
From Winifred Booker.
Yeah, Winifred's been doing that for decades. Yeah, I love that.
For 20 years. She's getting tired. She'd like somebody else to take it over.
That's great that you're picking that up. That's
So
great.
I'd like to blow it out of the water.
Fantastic.
I'd like this to get into the... George Shepley is doing a sugar initiative, and we've developed a little squeeze toy sugar cube that has a picture of all the things that are affected on each side, like the heart, the kidney, the liver, with a website with information.
This is
on
like
sugar.
a mouth-body connection thing,
Yes.
really, is that story.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a method of communication. It will help not only the students, but this information gets home and helps the parents also.
So you'll become president at the ADA meeting, and where's that going to be and when?
That's here in Orlando.
Here in Orlando.
October 2nd through 11th, I think.
Great.
Yeah.
Well, we look forward to that, and I look forward to maybe, if we have the opportunity, talk to you again during or after your presidential year. And
see how it went.
I'm confident since I've known you, and the hard work thing will prevail. And I think you'll accomplish what you intend. So I look forward to seeing that.
I really am. We're gonna make some stuff happen. So
thanks for being with us on Pedo Teeth Talk today here in Orlando.
Thanks for this is an amazing meeting. Anybody that's listening, you need to come to this one.
Well, good. Maybe we'll see you in Orlando again.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Do you need additional CE hours but don't have time to travel to courses? Did you attend annual session and want to listen to the audio recordings? Check out AAPD's new Education Passport. The redesigned and improved Education Passport is AAPD's online learning center, where you can earn CE and listen to audio recordings from all of our continuing education courses and more. Visit educationpassport.aapd.org for more information. For 10% off any product, use discount code TEETHTALK in the Education Passport store. Pedo Teeth Talk is the show that delivers cutting-edge ideas for the professionals specializing in pediatric dentistry. Be sure to check out previous episodes of Pedo Teeth Talk, as well as our other podcast platform, Newly Erupted. All previous episodes are available on our website. We welcome your ideas for future shows and guests. For more information on the American Academy of Pediatric Dentistry, visit aapd.org.